That's our meal for today. And we got the green beans given to us, the zucchini given to us, the coconut sauce for the stuff given to us, and the peppers and the tomatoes, and the rest, like the potato, beets and lentils and cilantro, we bought. But we were also given this pumpernickel bread, and it looks good, but one thing I noticed years ago about pumpernickel is it's really not that healthy. If you look at the ingredients, enriched wheat flour, that's the first one, and there is some rye flour in there and stuff like that. The caramel color, I've heard some bad things about the caramel color.
Yeah.
And I can't remember exactly what it was, but it might have been something like carcinogenic or something. Seriously, it was not good.
It's not something that you make part of our regular diet.
No. We had it given to us, and I'm very thankful for all the stuff that we are given.
I keep forgetting this sort of stuff wouldn't be like the original stuff.
No,
it's fairly light. The original stuff, like it practically plunk,
Yeah, well, it would have been made with rye, and this has some, but it's not.
Yeah, rye
when
bread.
we buy the rye flour, it's it makes. I mean, you've seen that when I've made the waffles with it. It's dark rye flour, but it doesn't come out that dark. And typically in pumpernickel, there's molasses to make it dark, but I don't even know if they put the molasses in this one.
So, it's not. Yeah, it's kind of like smunchy and stuff like white bread. Definitely not whole wheat bread.
No. Anyway, that's our meal for today. It's delicious.
So almost all the food was provided. And so was the snow. Had a little bit of a dusting of it.
That's my hot lemon.
I think we're going to have a walk later on today.
Ooh, yum.
I don't think too much more snow is going to connect. I think it's
I think that's about
a northwest flow. I think it was a cold front moving.
Not too cold though.
It's just cold relative to what came before. I think it was into the teens.
Yesterday.
The temperature yesterday.
It was plus 15 when I checked.
Yeah.
And today is only going to be a high of -1, I think.
Yeah.
But that's not bad.
For this time of year.
It's February after all.
It's
almost Valentine's
the
Day.
-1 would be something like average temperature. Maybe a little bit higher than that. Not much. See how low it gets. Low it might be for this time of year, maybe 10 below.
Anyhow, what were you going to review? You still haven't talked about Cher.
Yeah.
You brought those books out.
I'm going to review Folly, The Anatomy of Folly. Adopt a title of classical English literature. Trudeau. This pandemic, to use your words and expression, sucks. Suffering succotash, Sylvester the cat. This pandemic sucks. And so does your handling of it, you stupid idiot. You should never, ever have let this COVID-19 into Canada. Ever. Did you think you'd get away with it? You notice how it's affected the economy? The economy in Canada went down, I think, more than 5% in 2020. There's a fallout when the economy goes down that deeply, that badly. Check what happened to the world. It was much deeper, and I hope longer lasting than what's happened to COVID so far. Check what happened to the world in the wake of the great stock market crash and during the Great Depression. The Great Depression lasted throughout pretty well the whole of the administration of Herbert Hoover. So he took over early 29. Stock market crash was late 29. Late fall. And it lasted until that bumhead was ousted from office. The very early 1933. What happened in the interim? The militarists took over in Japan. I think that was 31. A little bit after, I think, Herbert Hoover relinquished office. 30th, it might have been a little bit before. It was the 30th of January, 1933. Guess who was elected in Germany? Yeah, you got it. Adolf Hitler. Or maybe you didn't get it. So many idiots out there. Adolf Hitler. I'm addressing this to Justin Trudeau, a glorified high school drama teacher. Check what happened when the United States decided they were going to have a little creative destruction, to use terms bandied about, a term bandied about by conservative politicians when it comes to economic downturn. Oh, it's just a little creative destruction. Well, guess what led or contributed to the election of Donald Trump. 2000 fallout from 2008. Again, the Americans decide to drive the world economy to the toilet. Yes, I know this was made in China, COVID-19, but we didn't have to import it. We should have did what we should have done, what Australia did, which is shut it off. We get a few long foreheads out there saying, Canada's not an island. Woo! Wow! Profundity. Like I didn't know. Ain't too many people know geography the way that I do. I kind of realized Canada ain't an island. Guess what? China ain't an island too. That's where COVID-19 originated. They managed to shut it down, and then they shut it down from coming back in from the rest of the world. Check your Funkin' Wagnall atlases. I don't know if Funkin' Wagnall makes atlases, but your Reader's Digest atlas. Or check it up on the internet. Try to make sure you don't get a wacko site. You can get all sorts of things on the internet that shows China as an island. China is not an island. When COVID's on the loose, and you're not an island, before it makes it in any serious way, you make sure that you're the equivalent of an island. No one goes in and no one goes out unless it's absolutely necessary. No tourism. Not even what Australia allowed. No tourism.
Certainly not Canadians going to Vermont to ski.
So there was some skunk.
Like, why does he get on the radio?
They were giving him a platform on CBC. Oh, he's so looking forward to... I don't know. He's from Quebec, presumably.
Honestly,
to going skiing in Vermont, as is his usual custom.
Canada has the best mountains in the world. Maybe arguably.
There's some amazing mountains. I mean, India and Nepal.
Yeah.
We've got nothing.
Yeah, but they're not skiing up there.
I don't think there's much skiing there.
No.
Well, you know, like you wouldn't go.
That'd be a very fast ride.
Yeah, you wouldn't go all the way to Mount K2, Godwin Austen, or whatever it's called, or Mount Kilimanjaro. But there'd be lots of skiing there. I mean, there's some amazing skiing apparently in Iran. The woman who handles my remission is from Iran, Mashhad originally, and I guess she was reasonably well off even there as a doctor, because she'd go, Mashhad's way up in the northeast, she'd go and ski a little, maybe about 80 kilometers or 80 miles, something like that, north of our capital, Tehran, which isn't right in the middle of the country, but it's in the middle of the north of the country. So, there are skiing, yeah, and that's not the only place. There are a few other places where they got skiing. But you don't have to go out of Canada to go skiing. If you're in Quebec, I gather there's wonderful skiing in the Laurentians, for example. That's just north of Ottawa. Is it as good as skiing in the middle of Vermont? Maybe not. You know, I bet you it is. I bet you it's way better.
I bet you it's way better in the Rocky Mountains.
But you know, here's the deal. You got money to be thrown around going to skiing in Vermont. Come out to the Rocky Mountains here. You know? Our dumbass truckers aren't blocking you from coming out here. And when I say dumbass, I mean the ones who are dumbass. I think the vast majority of truckers are actually faithful to Canada and to democracy.
Yeah, there's not many of them, really, that are causing trouble right now.
Apparently not.
It
It's
seems
like
a
500 in
They're
Ottawa
doing
or
a lot
something
of
like
damage.
that. But I don't know how many truckers. We'd have thousands upon thousands of truckers.
But honestly, it's very few people that are trying to assert their freedom, their rights, to try to overthrow a government that was democratically elected. So they're trying to put their rights over
Everyone else's.
many people's rights.
Mm-hmm. So, we live in a democracy. The truckers amongst our truckers here that are actually trucker trash. We live in a democracy. You don't like it? You form your political party. I'm not talking about Nazi party.
Well, whatever. If that's what you want to form, you try.
You form a political party and get elected.
Whatever.
Yeah? It's a minority government. No?
But you can't go doing like a beer hall putsch kind of thing.
Well, they're saying that some flunkies that are involved in this think that they're going to get the Governor General to dismiss Trudeau, and then there'll have to be another election. Now, maybe that's an internet hoax or something like that. but I can see it. As soon as you start flapping and flopping, the Nazi flag around, Confederate flag around.
I mean, James and I have some different views if you've watched us, but neither one of us are, and neither one of us are thrilled about Trudeau, as you can tell. But
it's all relative. Having these stupid skunks running the country.
Yeah.
Flapping and flopping the Nazi flag around.
I mean, people they can see how these guys would handle the country by how they're handling it right now. How much is this costing Canadians? And they don't care about Canadians. They don't care about anybody but themselves.
This is true. They've already shown.
They've shown that.
They have feel no responsibility to other Canadians.
No.
They're not into masking. They're not into social distancing.
No, but they're costing Canadians just by doing what they're doing.
Well, apparently they're blocking something like, or trying to block, they'd be doing alternative routes, trying to block about $500 million of trade a day coming over the Ambassador Bridge between Windsor and Detroit.
And I was listening to people talking yesterday, and
Trudeau, perk up your ears. Go ahead.
The one guy, he said, he was talking about the truckers, and he's like, well, they're not doing anybody any harm. And I just sat quietly. They're doing people harm. They're doing him harm.
You don't know how many people have died because of those idiots not getting their vaccines, not masking. But
I'm just talking about price of food and availability of food. I mean, this was while waiting in front of the Salvation Army for food. Well, this stuff is given to me because there's a surplus amount. And the grocery store, they're going to throw that out, right? Because it wasn't bought. And we have to eat it quickly, but that is no problem. It's delicious, and it's very good for us still. It's certainly better than eating a whole lot of bread to try to make up for an empty stomach. But in any case, I'm still thankful for the bread when we get it too. I'm thankful for whatever we get because it's all helpful. But this guy, I mean, he was
no clue about economics.
No, he butted in line ahead of me, and he wanted to try to, and he managed to successfully do it. Oh, was that big tall guy? No.
It's a different guy.
But anyway,
real Canadians don't butt ahead of people in lineups. Eh?
Anyway, so
what the other person said? Wasn't there a little joke about McDonald's?
Oh yeah, he told
It's the same guy?
Same guy told the joke about McDonald's. He said,
perk up your ears, Trudeau.
You can go into McDonald's and you can order a McChicken or a McTrudeau, and that's the chicken. I spoiled the joke.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's the joke because the real joke is Trudeau. You're thinking you're being diplomatic, wanting to negotiate things. This dates to before your dad was Prime Minister. Your dad was alive when this was happening. When you try to negotiate with Nazis, it's not called negotiation because they're not into negotiation. 38, 39, even earlier. What was it called? Neville Chamberlain comes back to England, I think that's 1938. And he says, we've got peace in our time. Yeah, the time was maybe 1 year. Peace in our time. What's it called? It's not called negotiation, it's called appeasement. You've been appeasing these treasonous traitors for, 2 weeks now? And all that's happened, I think you thought these idiots would dry up and blow away. That isn't what happens to excrement, okay?
Anyway.
It gets smelly. And that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with traitors to democracy. They're flapping the Canadian flag around. When they're doing that and committing hate crimes, harassing hospital workers, patients, people wearing masks, they are traitors. And what they're doing is they're using children as human shields. When you're committing something like that, treason, and you're using anyone as human shields, much less kids, that is a crime against humanity. You should have been saying, as soon as they started committing these hate crimes, as soon, when was that, over a week ago? You should have declared it illegal, unconstitutional, a crime against humanity and treason, and you should have told them you got a day to get out of there. If you don't understand what this thing is about, get your kids out of there, whether you understand it or not. Surrender your trucks. The trucks should have been confiscated, the cars confiscated. That's not impounded, confiscated. In other words, put on the auction block. They can use their funds to buy those things back. I figure if 500 trucks should cost them something like 500 times 100,000. What the hey does that come out to? Something like 50 million. I think they're supposed to have about 10 million in their kitty somewhere. And that should have cost them much more than that. Doesn't matter if it's farm equipment at the Coutts border, cars, they're driving in cars apparently to reinforce these troops of occupation, these stormtroopers. And you've let it go on way too long. The economic fallout might be incalculable. You stupid moron. You oxymoron. Suffering succotash. This sucks. Hey, you think that the United States wants the auto industry part of it in Canada? They do it as kind of a favor to kind of keep Canada online so they can get our raw materials and stuff like that. Are you understanding now? They had to close down a plant, or they were talking about doing, in Lansing, Michigan. This is potentially the end of our treaties with the United States about the automotive industry. They don't need to. Apparently, someone was saying that the average part in a car coming out of Detroit goes across the border 6 times between Windsor and Detroit. You think they're going to let that happen again? Why would they? You are damaging. Now I'm talking to the idiots, but also Trudeau. But the idiots are doing this. You are permanently, at least threatening to, permanently damaging the Canadian car industry. It might never recover. Just from your 2 weeks so far of stupid indiscretion. Now, I'm talking to the folks there that are involved in it and don't necessarily, we don't like, you're not on board with people are flopping the Nazi flags around and stuff like that. You'd better get off board and make it clear, you stupid idiots. You should be in jail.